Welcome, everyone. Welcome to T1TV Google Hangouts on Air. I'm your host, Asha Brown, and I'm very excited to introduce all of you to my friend, Danielle Hargenrader. Ooh, is that how I say it?
Perfect.
Good. All right. Well, she is, I think, a treasure to the T1D community, but also to anyone who needs some support in moving their lifestyle into a healthier direction. I'm going to read her bio because I don't think I can do it justice if I just fill it off of my head, because there's just a lot of cool stuff that she does and is doing. So Danielle Hargenrader, aka the Diabetes Dominator, is an international speaker, nutritionist, health coach, and personal trainer. She helps individuals from all walks of life to think, eat, and move in ways that allow them to achieve a quality of health and quality of life they previously thought were unattainable. She is the author of the upcoming book, Unleash Your Inner Diabetes Dominator. That's very exciting. We will touch base on that, with an expected release date in November 2015. Danielle has presented at a variety of Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies, top-ranked hospitals and universities, and has dedicated herself to teaching people, specifically diabetics, how to live with the life they imagined through optimal health, self-love, and acceptance. She was diagnosed with T1D in 1991, and after ballooning up to 200 pounds while battling a binge eating addiction, eventually took herself from obese to athlete. I love that. Danielle uses the Omnipod insulin pump and Dexcom CGM. So, Danielle, thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, it is my absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, okay, there's a lot we want to discuss, and as you and I were just saying, it's like there's just never enough time to cover it all. But I think the first thing I want to make sure that you share about is what types of specific services you might be able to offer someone who, you know, as in your bio, is looking for a way of life to achieve a better state of health that they previously thought they could never get to.
Well, absolutely. I'd love to share a little bit about that. Basically, what I found through my own experiences, and luckily I've been able to have or offer these services for the past 6 years now, is that one thing that a lot of people try to do, diabetics, it doesn't matter who you are, is that we go out to change something about our lifestyle because we're unhappy with whether it's our body or our blood sugars or what have you. And we just pick a diet or a nutrition program, or we pick an exercise program, and we just kind of go for it. And I find that the real issue with that is we're not addressing the main issue, which is our mindset around what it is that we're trying to do. We're not examining why are we doing this? What is the reason that's driving us? So without getting a real tight, specific handle on that, it's almost like self-sabotage, because you're asking your body or yourself to do all of these new things. You're changing. You're asking yourself to change without really kind of deep diving in on why. So I really try to walk people through the mindset of change and to get yourself right for change, so that when you start making the changes, they can be sustainable. Because sustainability is what I'm all about. I don't want you to lose 10 pounds and then in 2 months you're going to gain 15 pounds back, which happens so often. Or, you know, you get an A1C of 6.5 for the first time in your life, and then all of a sudden your body's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then you just kind of give up because you haven't really wrapped your mind around why you're doing this. So I guess it's like a mind-body connection, and I kind of guide people through what they believe, why they believe it. And oftentimes I find that we, including myself, which I used to, believe things about ourselves that not only are they not true, but they're not serving us in any positive way. So we have to kind of eradicate those beliefs and be okay with knowing that we're not always right. And it's okay to be wrong.
Wow, I got really excited about everything you just said. So let's see if I can remember everything. So what you just said about getting ready for change and understanding what that means for your brain, for your body, for the future is such an important thing that isn't really explained just in the way that you said it. We don't, I mean, in all the diet books or the like lifestyle, like Dr. Phil's 30 and 30, I don't even know what it's called. there's all these like, do these things, you get these results, but the process of change and adapting new lifestyle stuff is probably one of the like golden nuggets that are the most important. So wow, that's really important. I'm so glad that you mentioned that.
And of course, I just want to say, then once we get past that, I'm a nutritionist and a personal trainer, so that we do get into the nutrition and exercise, but we don't even get into that until we get into the beliefs and the mindset, because I find that that's a reverse process, and we need to start from the beginning. So
totally, and I think especially for if you are a type 1 diabetic, as you know, routine is really important. Structure, you know, even if we're, you know, a creative soul, we need structure to take care of ourselves. So if we're going to change that structure or adapt new habits, we have to look at what that might feel like and understand that that change means new behaviors or a new structure of some sort. And wow, that's just something that nobody ever talks about.
Yeah, I'm all about that, and it really comes from, for me, for sustainability. It's like a lot of people just decide, well, it's Sunday, I'm going to start this new plan tomorrow on Monday, and then by Friday or even Wednesday, it's like, oh, screw this. And there's a huge reason for that, because there was no preparation for the change. And when we ask ourselves to do that, we have to have a strong reason why, so that because we will fail and we will slip up, and that's okay, that's human. We can't expect ourselves to be perfect, but when that does happen, you have to be ready for it and have a plan of action in place, so that you can say, okay, I knew this was going to happen, and then I'm moving forward because, and not just, you know, dive into the Ben and Jerry's, because it's just too easy to do that. So
absolutely. And I mean, this is a perfect segue into talking a little bit more about what you meant, what the bio says at the end, is the fact that you have actually struggled with and recovered from a binge eating disorder, which is, you know, that's a very vulnerable and brave thing to share to the world. And as I know, and you know, a lot of people with diabetes, no matter the type, struggle with eating disorders. What you're saying about your own program that you've developed, it seems to me like a very successful mindset for also recovering from an eating disorder.
Yes, absolutely. And for me, you know, I spent from the time I was 12 till, I mean, probably close to 20 years old, having that issue with just the binge eating and just constant, you know, being 200 pounds, A1C of 14 or above. And it really didn't change overnight, but the more I realized that I was trying to change something without really understanding why I needed to change, the more it absolutely, for me, that's the way to kind of reach any goal in life. Health and wellness for me is my passion. So, you know, but if you're trying to improve a relationship or get a better job or improve your finances, if you don't get your mind right first, it's setting yourself up for failure. So yeah, so for the binge eating thing, I mean that, and I've told this story before, but it's like, it's still conditioning for me, you know, like sometimes when I'm shopping and I walk by the bakery and I'm like, okay, that smells really good, and I kind of get those tingly sensations, and I'm like, okay, but then sometimes I have to think. It's future thinking, like you said. I will stop and think about how this is going to feel 3 hours from now, 6 hours from now, tomorrow when I wake up, and the pain of the thought of that is stronger than the pleasure that I know I would get from that immediate release of having the sugar. And you really have to condition yourself for it. It's not like you're just going to be like, oh, snap your fingers and I'm conditioned. Just like lifting weights, just like, you know, continuing to eat healthy. It's practice makes, not really perfect, but practice makes better. And you have to practice your willpower just like you have to practice anything to keep yourself on track. So.
Wow, yet another golden nugget of truth here. I love what you just said, and I am recognizing that part of my own personal success and my recovery was just what you explained, you know, with, yes, that might be good for an immediate release or an immediate numbing out because we feel bad or sad or anxiety, you know, yes, that behavior is a coping mechanism that probably works, but it's a short-term fix. And the aftermath, you know, 3-6 hours later and the day after it's danger. And it, you know, and for you to have first of all, the way to explain that, but then the ability to think what this means for the future, that's a very integral part, I think, of a successful recovery. That's amazing.
And you just have to think about it as a vicious cycle, because if you have that immediate release, then 3 hours later and 6 hours later you feel bad. I used to eat because I felt bad. You know, I had the diabetes, and my father passed away the day after my 12th birthday, and it was all this terrible emotions, and I was doing the eating to quell the emotions, but then if you do the eating and then you keep getting the bad feelings, it's this terrible vicious circle that just keeps going around and around. You have to break the loop. You have to break the pattern.
Totally. You know, just hearing you talk about this and your approach to doing that, I really want to recommend, you know, some of the WOD community to really reach out to Danielle. She's got an amazing approach and understanding of the process of recovery, and it's just so important for people to have resources beyond We Are Diabetes, but resources of other T1D individuals in the professional world, you know, to be able to relate to. So that's just a very important plug I want to make to any of the WOD community watching this show. With that being said, I am thrilled to hear that you actually will have a book coming out, and I'd love you to talk a little bit about that.
Well, the book, as you said, will be called Unleash Your Inner Diabetes Dominator, because I really do believe, whether you believe or not, there is a diabetes dominator lurking inside of everyone, and that, you know, I like that to be like, diabetes dominator is who I had to become, the persona that I kind of had to embody to kind of get rid of that binge eating, to get rid of that I don't exercise, I don't know how to exercise mentality. And so the book was kind of born of my insane desire and passion to help other people, you know, not take 10 or 15 years to get where I was going, that maybe I could help people get a shortcut or find an easier path than I had. And then, you know, so it ballooned into my story, and also the book is, you know, and I'm not a doctor, and there will be a disclaimer in the book. I'm not, you know, telling you what to do, but I'm telling you what I've done and what I've done with many clients and the results that have been happening and proven again and again. And then if you take that to do that, you know, always discuss it with your doctor. But it's also going to be story, and also not just what to do, but how to do it. Because I find a lot of times we hear, okay, well, you should lose some weight. Oh, well, you should eat healthier. Okay, how do I do that? A lot of people don't have that knowledge at the end of their fingertips, and I only have it because I've spent my entire life passionately reading about nutrition. My bachelor's degree in nutrition science, because it just really, that's where I found my personal power, was in nutrition, when before it didn't serve me, but now I can use it to serve myself and my well-being, and so can every human being out there. And then we're actually, that part of the book is written, and now we're tacking on, and it's not a tack on, it's really important, is because it's great if you're inspired by my story, and that's what I want people to be, but I also know that I'm only going to relate to a certain group of people. So I want there to be, you know, 10, 15 other people in my book who have done amazing things, who have come from kind of despair and hopelessness and helplessness to I'm awesomeness, and I'm going to put their stories in my book as well. So that should be coming out in November, and we're going to be having a Kickstarter campaign for that shortly. I'm going to launch it soon, within the next couple of months, because as I'm sure people realize, self-publishing is not free, and it takes resources and teams and editors and things like that. So we're hoping that we can get a little bit of help with that, and there'll be some really cool prizes, like you can be featured in the book, your story can be featured in the book for certain levels of Kickstarter, you know, donations. So we'll have some really cool stuff to offer as well.
I really like that idea, and I may steal that little prize feature for a Kickstarter in the future. I love it.
Please use it.
So exciting to hear that this book will be a resource eventually. I mean, we've had some wonderful self-published work and just authors in general that are type 1, speaking about type 1. I mean, there's Gary, there's Ginger, but there is all a slightly different topic in all of those, and this is a book that I am not aware of anything that's comparable. We very much need to stay inspired, to keep fighting when things get dark, when things get scary, when our insurance disappears because our job changes. There's just so many reasons to get upset and give up with type 1, and so we need books like this on our coffee table so that we can go, oh yeah, no, this is what I need.
And that I'm not alone, and other people have gone through this. I
Yes.
don't even talk about that, but I've gone through some insurance nightmares in my life where I didn't have it, and I was actually at a welfare office begging for help, and they actually told me that because I didn't have any children that they couldn't help me. A whole other nightmare, but I won't even get into that. That was when I was 19 years old, so yeah.
You know, the more I have, life struggles and ups and downs, like recently I have been unemployed from my day job, which is not We Are Diabetes, but it's a normal people 9 to 5. And after experiencing what unemployment offices have to say about things, in general, I see that in order to get support and the resources, a person has to go out and seek those, from their own place where they are. Sometimes things just aren't available to you unless you seek them out. And I have no doubt that the entire diabetes community is going to be supporting your efforts in this. I will certainly make sure that I do my part to let people know. I think this is great actually to talk about this stuff that's up and coming so that people know when to look for this Kickstarter campaign. That's very exciting.
I appreciate all the kind words, and I think that that's kind of what we have to do here is just promote each other, because without each other, we are just solo. We are a team. So,
Right.
I mean, I promote things on my page all the time about different people putting out different things because I want everybody to have as many positive role models as possible so that it doesn't matter how old you are or if you're a boy or a girl or what your background is, there's somebody out there that you can relate to and find that strength, or maybe just that little sentence that like clicks in your head and you're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense to me, because there's so many of us out there, so we just gotta keep supporting each other. So
absolutely. And it's interesting that you talk about the click, because I think you have to kind of immerse yourself in multiple types of resources, multiple consultants or people that do it, because one person's language or way of communication may kind of just go through you. And then another person's method, you might just it'll stick, and you're like, whoa, I get it. And so, I'm probably biased, but I feel like you come from a style of communication that is very authentic and very clear. And, just your discussion on, thinking about the process of change and having multiple steps towards that change is a very sustainable type of program. So I'm really excited to share this information with everyone in the T1TV community.
I'm very excited to be part of your sharing. And I just to say that the authentic, and I appreciate that because it really means a lot to me, is that because, and I know this might sound kind of like foo-foo or whatever, but like I love everyone. I love you, I love everyone, and there's no judgment. And I find that when you come from a place of love, even when you don't agree with what someone's saying, even if someone's saying something that you're like, what the hell are they talking? That's fine. You might be saying that in your head, but you have to kind of be like, this person has their own blueprint, their own values, their own beliefs, and that's okay, but I love you anyway, and we're going to still work together to get wherever we need to go. And that was something I had to learn as well, because I had some severe anger management issues when I was binge eating and things like that, and I hated everyone, and I thought everyone was out to get me, and I thought nobody understood me. You don't understand, and that mentality just never got me anywhere. So I switched from anger to love, and everything else just kind of falls into place. So.
Oh, well, this word is getting overused, but I love that, and I feel like we may have to have you on again to talk about that, because that is a really important topic, and I'm very much in agreement with you there, and I can imagine that type of approach works a lot better when you work with many people, your clients. Not everyone is going to have the same mentality or mindset, so for you to effectively help them, you have to kind of come at it with love.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us today. I love you so much. I wish I could give you a hug through the internet, but it's just fantastic to hear more about what you offer, what's coming up next in your life, and we will definitely provide links, and I, through We Are Diabetes, will definitely keep the community abreast of when your Kickstarter begins.
Thank you so much for having me. It was always a pleasure to talk to you, and although we've only met a few times, I feel like we're sisters, and we will hug one day, I'm sure of it.
We will. It will happen. All right.